Classic Saints problems once again. That's the focus of today's video because we have to ask the question, how does this keep happening to the black and gold? My name is Trace Girouard. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. We're going to have a conversation about what Kellen Moore needs to fix right now if the New Orleans Saints want to find success this season. Now, I posed this question to Twitter, and it got a lot of responses, and it got a lot of engagement. And most people said that they were kind of living in the 3 to 5 range. So I wanted to ask the YouTube comment section the same thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, how disappointed in you are you in the performance of the New Orleans Saints yesterday? Obviously, the date was yesterday. This was posted after game day. But I want you to let me know, how disappointed were you in the New Orleans Saints loss to the Arizona Cardinals? Again, most people saying they were around 3 to 5. I'm curious if YouTube feels the same way. Now, the New Orleans Saints have to make it stop. Kellen Moore, please fix all of these problems. The main one, it's a multi-year issue. Penalties. They get way too many penalties. They get penalties at the most inopportune times. They shoot themselves in the foot every chance they get. The New Orleans Saints are their own worst enemies. They beat themselves week in and week out. I am so frustrated and so tired of having the conversation around the New Orleans Saints having issues with penalties. In 2024, in case you didn't know, New Orleans was top 5 in penalty yards allowed. It's unbelievable. Over 1,000 penalty yards. That's ridiculous. How are you expected to win games if you are giving up 1,000 yards in penalties? It doesn't make sense. For what it's worth, we're going to show you a list, and it's very, very telling. The Ravens and the Lions, great rosters, great teams. Last season, they were in the top 5, but they had the rosters to battle through that adversity. The Jets, the Titans, and the Saints, none of them did. And that is why that they were all very high draft picks. That is why all 3 of these teams are kind of in the doghouse right now, and those are still prominent issues from, honestly, especially the New Orleans Saints, but a lot of these squads. The New Orleans Saints this year are tied for first. Number 1 in total penalties. Number 1. Do you understand how frustrating that is? They are number 1 in total penalties. 13 penalties for 89 yards in week 1. That is unacceptable. How are you expected to win football games when you are giving up the entire field length after a kickoff in penalties? You're not going to find success. Doesn't matter if it's offense, doesn't matter if it's defense. The New Orleans Saints are their own worst enemy. They cannot stop shooting themselves in the foot. They cannot stop creating holes that they have to dig themselves out of late in the game because they just don't have the roster and they don't have the talent in order to do that. We saw that in week 1. The Cardinals, I'll say, pretty good opponent. In week 1, the Arizona Cardinals capitalized on a bunch of mistakes that the New Orleans Saints made. The New Orleans Saints did not capitalize on the mistakes made by the Cardinals. They did not capitalize on the gifts given to them, whether it was penalties, whether it was calls going one way or the other. The New Orleans Saints are their own worst enemies. You can blame the refs. You can blame whoever. You can blame Juwan Johnson. You can blame anybody. But the issue was penalties. That is a coaching thing. That is a culture thing. That is a whatever. It is not a one player is to blame. It is an entire organization. The penalties are the problem. The New Orleans Saints are their own worst enemy. And if you agree that the Saints got to stop unloading the clip on their own foot, I want you to do one thing, and that's subscribe. To show that this team needs to stop shooting themselves in the foot. It's so ridiculous. Why? If you stop doing that, guess what? Your games become easier. Let's send a message. Hit the sub button if you agree with what I just said. Now, the pre-snap penalties is really where things were problematic. Remember, you had 13 total penalties. 9 of those were pre-snap penalties. 2 illegal formations, 1 illegal shift. 1 of those was declined, for what it's worth. And Kellen Moore today, he said that they're going to do a lot to address the pre-snap penalties this week during practice and emphasized that they will need to be cleaner there. I beg the question once again, how are you supposed to win games if you're getting penalties? Because when you have these pre-snap penalties, You're losing before the game even starts. You're losing before the play starts. You're losing before you even have the opportunity to put the ball in your playmaker's hands. How are you supposed to win football games when you operate like that? My answer is you don't. Kellen Moore, he did say some pretty good things about it. I will give him credit. The pre-snap penalties, that was simply not good enough. Doesn't meet the standard in any way. We have a bunch of penalties on both sides of the football in the pre-snap world, and that's all under our control. Could not agree more with him. Got a lot more to talk about because not just the penalties was a problem, but the management of the game was just disastrous. So I want to take an in-depth look at this game and where everything went off the rails here in just 1 second. But first, got to thank today's presenting sponsor, and that is the best daily fantasy app in the whole wide world, PrizePicks. This episode of Saints Now by Chat Sports is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I can show you some picks that I'm rolling with this week. I got a fun little lineup because there is a cool little promo. PrizePicks always has promos and specials going on, so be sure to check the app early and often throughout game week so you can know where to lay down your cheddar to maximize your winnings. I'm doing a little demon pick on Alvin Kamara. Going to have him find the end zone at least once. And then Travis Kelce just has to get more than half a receiving yard. It's pretty much free money for both of those two guys. So if you want to fade these picks, you want to tail these picks, I don't care what you do. Just do it over on PrizePicks. Here is how you play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is available in the comment section and description of this video. I made it clickable to make it easy for you, Saints fans. So check out PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. The offense, I wanted to focus in here because the offense is really where the penalties were a major, major problem. Sure, the defense had some inopportune times and some inopportune penalties, but I think the offense was the main issue. 8 penalties, 44 yards. How are you going to do that? You set up for failure every single time. That's 8 separate plays where you either were set up going into the next play for failure, or you had a play that could have been potentially very helpful get brought back because of something stupid. Now, we've got to give out some awards to the Week 1 leaders of penalties. Cesar Ruiz, MVP, most valuable penalties. 2 penalties, 15 yards. You also saw Dillon Radunz get 2 for 9. Chris Olave was flagged 1 time for 5 yards. Asim Richards also was flagged for a penalty. Eric McCoy, for what it's worth, was flagged for an eligible downfield pass, an eligible man downfield. That was a declined penalty. And Talis Efuaga, he got flagged for holding, but that was also a declined penalty. So you could have had even more here. But, I mean, come on. Why? What are we doing? If you want to take a look at what exactly the penalties were, I have just that for you. The Saints had the most penalty problems with false starts and illegal shifts. Those are both pre-snap penalties. You got to stop doing those things to set yourself up for failure in the play. A grand total, 13 for 89 yards. You had a face mask. You had some offsides issues. You had some illegal formations. You had shifts. You had holdings. You had pass interference. You got to clean it up. Get your brooms out. It is an absolute mess in New Orleans. And if the Saints want to find success, Kellen Moore needs to fix it and fix it quick. If you're tired of the Saints getting penalties, you're tired of the Saints acting like this or playing like this and acting like they can get away with it, like the video. We're sending a message. That's all we're doing with this video. We're sending a message because I want the message to get out. This is a very easy problem to fix. You address this and your life gets so much easier. And that is a message that I know a lot of you are feeling at home. So if you agree with me, you're tired of the Saints getting penalized for stupid football plays like this video. We mentioned bad clock management and bad game management was a factor in this loss as well. Kellen Moore, got to be a little bit critical here. I always am going to keep it real. I pride myself in that. He was bad at the end of the first half of that game. The New Orleans Saints need to find the confidence in order to be more aggressive going into the later portions of halves. In the second half, I thought that they were doing a good job of that. First half, not so much. Kellen Moore did say he wanted to stash those tight ends at the end of the first half, or tight ends. He wanted to stash the timeouts in the end of the first half in case New Orleans popped a big play when they got the ball back. He further explained today that not calling a timeout was to protect the Saints against leaving time for Arizona to score if they ended up going 3-and-out. Reminder, the Saints got the ball back with about 30 seconds remaining. I think that they could have called some timeouts when they were on defense to give them a chance to go drive down the field. But you also only ran one play. You handed it off, and then you went into the locker room. You easily could have called timeout, tried to run a couple more. Like, it was just not aggressive. It was lazy. I get, hey, that was a bad half. Let's get back in there. Let's go. But it really wasn't all horrible. I just think that the New Orleans Saints need to stop with the penalties, and you won't have to worry about bad clock management, at least from a standpoint of trying to climb back. I will also say that I thought the offense was best when they were working in tempo. And for the young quarterback and Spencer Rattler, and for a young offense featuring Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, obviously Alvin Kamara is not young, but Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, they got some run. They're clearly going to be factors this year. This is a team that needs to find ways to maximize their offensive success. Working in tempo is the way to do that. I believe it. I'm sure you believe it. I know we can all go back and watch the highlights, watch the tape, watch the film, and we can all look back and say, when the offense was moving most effectively, they had rhythm, they had tempo, they were moving well. It was a fluid unit. But when they weren't, the offense was stagnant, and it stalled out, and it failed, and it got derailed by penalties. Can't be doing that. Alvin Kamara also agrees with everything I just said. So we have to be better at running a play, getting our tempo, getting set, and staying. That's another problem. They weren't getting set in time. They weren't getting set with enough time. They weren't getting set right. It was causing problems all throughout the game. I think that falls on all of us, especially the quarterback. I think it'll get fixed. I think this week I'll watch the film, and I know I'll be vocal about it. We just got to get set. Now, to kind of round out this conversation, it's a very, very easy fix. The question that we posed at the beginning of this video, how does this keep happening to the New Orleans Saints? Well, the answer, lazy football, lack of discipline, lack of preparation, not being set, not being prepared. You fix any of those things, and hopefully all of them, and some of those penalties are not a problem anymore. If the self-inflicted wounds can't stop for the New Orleans Saints, then this team will be very, very hard to watch all year. But if the black and gold can find ways to break these bad habits of getting stupid penalties at especially inopportune times, I think that this team could potentially start cooking and maybe find a way to actually shock the NFL and rattle off some pretty impressive wins. Just my thoughts, just my opinion. That's why you tune into the show. Now, what is the biggest issue for the New Orleans Saints? I want you to let me know in the comment section. What do you think is the biggest problem facing this team right here, right now? Is it lack of talent on the roster? Is it bad coaching? Is it no quarterback play? Is it penalties? What is it? I think it's penalties, and that's my personal opinion. But I spent the last few minutes telling you what I think. I want you to spend the next few minutes telling me what you think. Appreciate you guys for tuning into today's video. My name is Trace Girouard. Got to give a shout out to my guy Loco Lopez for hanging out and being on the ones and twos for me. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.